in front of the Chinese embassy in Washington DC, and we have Bob with us, Bob Swensen, who was on the podcast to talk about his experiences overseas in Thailand and South Korea. We see the beautiful LCA sign, Stop Dog Meat. How many people would you say showed up today?
About 12 to 14, I think.
Yes, and it's a long drive for you guys. You know, many people have to drive for hours.
A couple people mine was only like an hour and 15 minutes. Other people came from Pennsylvania, so that was a little bit longer.
Yes. Well, I know Brando, the one who's hosting the protest, Brando Lee, had to drive 3.5 hours.
Yes, I know.
He says it's 2.5, but it was a longer drive this time around.
Yes, traffic in DC.
And I guess at this point, you started the protest at 1?
I think it was about 1:15 we started.
At 1:15? And
yes.
So any attention, did you garner any attention from people inside the embassy? Or?
No, usually they ignore us.
Yeah, they're good at that.
Yeah, they don't care about human life or animal life or anything. Not all of them. Not a racial thing, but just the, and it's very sad.
This is not the first time you attend a protest like this, right?
Correct. I've been to several.
Yes, and this year, though, I think there were 2 attempts done, but because of really bad weather, they had to be canceled. So I think it was last week and this week. This is the finale, right? So today is the final protest for Yulin. We all know Yulin ends on, well, technically it ends Tuesday, June 30th, but we all know Yulin happens every day in China and other countries. And so you're about ready to go march around the streets? Is that what you're going to do? Okay.
Correct.
And you have your signs, everyone's got a sign, and you're going to make, I guess, more reaching the public, because at this point, there's no one, you can't interact with the public, right? Because this is only people that are going to the embassy?
So we've basically been protesting in front of the embassy. We're going to walk around, but when we do the Korean protest, it's on a main street, so we actually get more people to look and
and people asking questions, I guess,
Some people do. A lot of people, we have some people honking because they know what goes on. So we're actually getting started. So I'm going to try to get.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you going to go down the streets, or are you going to stay around the embassy?
I'm going to try to get ahead of them.
Okay.
Hey, did you figure it out?
Hi, Nadine. You're actually being recorded because I'm with Bob Swensen. Protest, and they're about to go around the embassy with their signs. Can you see them? Okay, you can see what's going on? Okay, cool. This is the first time I'm doing some kind of chat room, so it's all new to me. And Bob was kind enough to call us in and give us a live view of what's happening. That's awesome.
Yeah. We need to get a whole lot more.
Yes.
We need a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, and like I was telling Bob, a lot of these activists had to drive over 3 hours today to get there. And so, these are dedicated activists. We see Brando Lee here in front of the line.
Just so you know, I can't hear anything on the phone while we're talking.
Yeah, so Brando Lee's been hosting these protests in Washington for the last couple of years. And, he's very dedicated because for him it's a long, long drive. He told me it took him over 3 hours today to drive. So this is a whole day dedicated to protesting the Yulin Dog Meat Festival and also obviously the dog cat meat trade. Because Yulin happens once a year, but dog cat meat doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
And have you, Nadine, been at these type of protests?
Not this one. No, no. I've been on
No.
ones. Like one coming up in September. So I'm going to reach out to Brandon as well and see if we can kind of join forces.
Yeah,
People
the
there.
event you were telling me about in September, you want to try to organize some kind of protest, or?
Yeah, we're doing the same thing, except I'd like very, very long. So it gets a lot of media because that event is open
Yeah,
because you're at the event.
and
So
you've been fighting this for many, many years, Nadine. A lot of viewers probably saw the podcast we did together. It's on Let No Dog Die in Vain. That's the movement. You started a nonprofit, registered a non.
nonprofit. I have a business.
Yeah, okay, it's a business. It's a Catalyst for Change advocacy group.
Mhm.
And so you've been lobbying politicians in Washington as well because you were part of the activists that were trying to get HR 6720 passed. And
Right.
so that was tremendous work. We talked about that on the podcast when we had you on, and we see that a lot of the activists today, they brought their dogs. I mean, it's kind of, they're the face, they're the reason why we're fighting this, and a lot of people are like, the petitions, the protests don't do anything, like China, like, is it really worth it? But what would you say to someone who thinks it might not be worth all these efforts?
Well, at this point, China is still festival. Organize it. They have nothing. So that's a hard chance to take if you're in the trying to pass laws and offices right there in Yulin for animal welfare. I really do think these bigger nonprofits are getting involved. In fact, I think I finally saw that PETA was actually getting involved, which never got
Yes. I was
with.
very surprised I shared that post because they were
Yeah,
pretty silent on the issue. I know they did a documentary about the dog meat leather, well, the dog leather trade,
yeah.
I should say, in China. And
Yeah, let's go down.
horrendous.
I'll go down to the
But for them to finally make a statement about the Yulin Dog Meat Festival was first, I believe. And so it's important. We all need to rally, like we were talking about on the show. We
Okay.
all need to rally because this is such a big issue. It requires all of us, like not just, activists, not just vegans, everyone. And we need politicians, people that can affect change in these countries. We need them to work with legislators in China. As we were saying, it requires a law. A law. We need to see China finally enact animal welfare laws. I mean, they have none. There's horrible abuse and cruelty happening in China every day. All animals, suffer greatly. And, for a country like China that has now become the second largest economy in the world, it's high time, it's high time that you stepped it up and created the standard for animal protection. I'm sure.
I think if you're going to be a superpower, in the world, the economy, all the things you just said, that you need to live in a civilized society.
Yeah.
And seeing that is just the most horrific, heart-wrenching thing, and it's barbaric and sadistic. And I don't understand why they're not seeing, regardless of whether they try to claim it or not, the image that people are having of China when they see these things.
Yeah.
It sticks with you, and this is what you remember. And it's not a good image for anybody. So I would hope that they do something. I would hope.
Absolutely. And now we have Molly that just joined us. Molly, we can
I'm back.
kind of see you. If you can tilt your phone, so we can see a little bit more of you. Are you?
Me? Oh, okay.
I know you were bringing your dogs to the vet earlier. Or what's going on with you today?
Yeah. Oh, I would love to be down. protesting. I live in Maryland. It takes me like a half hour to get to the protest. I have 3 dogs from South Korean meat trade, and they're usually very healthy. And this week, coincidentally, they just decided 2 of them decided to get sick. So I'm a nurse, but I just took a break to take them to the vet briefly. And I saw that there was a podcast, so I thought maybe I would get some information from Brando or whoever about maybe updates or new things that were going on with the Yulin festival.
And Molly, you've adopted 3 dogs from Safe Korean Dogs, I believe.
So one of the dogs I have is a rescue from a South Korean meat farm, the 10th farm that they shut down.
Okay.
And Humane Society International is the group that shut down that farm right before the Winter Olympics a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 dogs I got, they're a bonded pair. They're so cute. I got them in January from Safe Korean Dogs, Nami Kim.
Ah, yes. Okay, and you got them recently. You had to wait the whole COVID, no flight period. That was rough, I can imagine.
Yeah, I was initially going to get a dog from No Dogs Left Behind, and they're a great group. And sorry, my dog's walking. That's why I'm looking down. I have a pug that's not a rescue. And she's so I was gonna get a dog from No Dogs Left Behind, and again, they're an amazing group. It didn't work out, and there were a lot of problems with the flight. Nami Kim uses a lot of flight volunteers. And there was a volunteer coming in January into JFK. So my cousin, who's an Uber driver, drove me at like 4 a.m. Of course, this dog Sarah is a bonded pair, so she has a bonded partner.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were actually only rescued in August, so they haven't even been free for a year. Last August, they were rescued.
So they were rescued in August 2020.
Yeah.
Wow. And it often happens that 2 dogs will bond, and it's best to adopt them out together, because
they're so cute. They're so cute. And I never really knew what a bonded pair was. Or just I feel like I'm yelling. I hope I'm not yelling, but
it's good because we can actually hear you.
Okay. So they're just so adorable together. I love them. Yeah, I love them all.
Well, for sure. And any idea, like, the situation, how they were rescued from a farm from Nami Kim, or?
Nami Kim and the volunteers, it was not a farm like my first dog. It was not like a set up meat farm.
Okay.
Where they're raising them for that. It appeared almost like you would picture like a garbage dump area. That's what it looked like on the videos. Lots of just everything everywhere, garbage, trash. I don't know what physical abuse they incurred, but they're both very fearful. There were 14 or 15 dogs rescued. And so the boy that I got, he actually, Nami Kim and group said that some of the dogs that were rescued with them were his siblings. I don't know how they knew that. So Tara, the girl I initially went to adopt, she was, Nami Kim said, one of the most sick, terrified dogs she's ever rescued.
Oh my God. And she's seen her share of terrified dogs, so that says a lot. Yeah.
So, and I don't know, like, you think, oh, well, then I must know what I'm doing. No, my heart broke for her.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, and then she bonded with Pacer, in a lot of the pictures from where they were, just like in corners, on dirt, under rubble, just in these like it almost looks like army, like when people are in war and they're trying to hide themselves in just like garbage. That's what the pictures look like. And in a lot of the pictures, she's sitting behind Pacer, the boy. And she looks like the typical Jindo. South Korean are known for the white Jindos. Yes. She looks just like that.
Wow.
He does not. He looks like a deer, like a little fox. He's like red brown. Mm-hmm. So cute.
I
So
love
cute.
foxes. I'm like a huge fan. I love all animals, but they're really particularly cute. Is there any way you can tilt your phone so we can see more of you? Because sometimes okay, yeah, this is
Yeah.
perfection.
Okay.
And so I think what's happening is the protest, the streaming video kind of is stuck now. But okay,
Okay.
maybe there's hope. Bob,
Okay.
can you hear us? Are you able to hear us? I think it's just the movement. Often with the camera, when there's more movement.
Yeah.
Actually, I did interview Nani Kim for the podcast, and that was part of the problem. Is the camera? She was moving a lot. She's very expressive, and
Yeah. Yeah.
every time she would move, that the camera would go. It would kind of
Yeah.
pixelated, but.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can work something out with the podcast because we recorded 2 interviews with her. And so I would love to share it with people, but I think we're going to have to incorporate images because some of the
Yeah.
are just not really the best.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know because you really are well, now you adopted 2 of her dogs and you've been supportive of, Nami
I
Kim
try to be. Yeah.
yeah, as much
Yeah.
as we can.
Yeah.
I guess, are they making a speech? I don't know. Maybe, I think they just came back in front of the embassy. It's a
Okay.
big building, right? So,
It
have
is.
you been there, right? Like you've done.
Yeah, that's where I met Bob for the first time.
Oh, okay.
That's where I met the famous Bob. And
Oh my God, Bob, did you hear
yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's where we met. And I've learned so much from people that I've met.
Oh, I think we might be losing Bob. It's not easy sometimes, those live
Yeah.
streams.
It's
So
okay.
you met him, how long ago was that?
Gosh, I think I want to say 2 to 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. At a protest. And I just approached him. I overheard him saying he was going to South Korea. And yeah, and he went and he brought back some dogs, with him. And I picked him up from the airport and helped him get the 2 dogs into his car. And he's such a great, great, amazing person. And he's very knowledgeable. He has it's called LARG, Lost Animal Resource Group, where they
Yes.
find, okay.
Yes.
I mean, he has made that, I'm like, you need to start charging because it's his full-time job. Like,
It's
he does that.
volunteer. It's all volunteer based. Well, hopefully people give him something because it's a lot of work. And he was on the podcast actually, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
We're back. So you
Had a moment of silence for the
live
dogs.
close by. I think you live fairly close by to each other.
About 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's closer than me. I always wanted to go to one of these protests, but I live in Canada. It's a big trip, even bigger than Brando. So Bob, I guess you're back in front of the embassy. I don't want to, I know you want to be part of the chants. Is there any way that Brando can come on the camera and talk to us a little bit? Is this a good time?
Brando.
You can
Come on,
join.
everybody.
Hi, Brando. The host
Hey,
us. How are
Yeah.
you, my friend?
good. We're it'll be a great turnout. We had about 20 people, and we did a little march up and down the street just to spread
That's
awareness and
Bob took us
yeah.
for the ride. So we got to follow
What's
you
that?
guys. You did you
Oh, good. I was wondering why Bob was running all over the place.
He was trying to be in front of you so that he could show us what's going on in the march and all. So he's been very
Sure, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
this is the second protest for you this year, right?
Yeah, yes. The other 2 were unfortunately canceled because of weather.
Yeah. And we have to say you drive out like just today. You had to leave your house at 8:30 in the morning to be sure to be there for 1. So this is a long trip for you.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it. I mean, I've been protesting. I mean, even before we started doing Yulin and Bacchanal, we were doing our protests at the Japanese embassy for the dolphin slaughter in
Yes.
Japan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been coming to DC for years and years. You get used to the drive, and when you look on your GPS and see it's only 2.5 hours, you're like, oh, that's a breeze. That's a breeze. But there's always
Exactly.
traffic. There's always an accident or something. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't. It's pales in comparison to what the animals are going through.
Yeah, well, I see. So, I applaud you because, I mean, that takes dedication. You've been doing this for at least 2 years. I mean, the Yulin and Bacchanal protests, I believe.
Yeah, this is the third year.
The third year, exactly. So, and for you, it's really far for you. So, I mean, it takes a lot of dedication. This is your whole day. You're sacrificing, to make a statement and to show people that we are opposed to this horrible trade. And
Yeah.
and how do you feel about it this year as opposed to last year? Because last year we had COVID, right? And
Right.
I think that kind of prevented a lot of people from attending, I imagine.
Uh, not really. I mean, we've got a real dedicated, great group of people.
Were you
So
there,
people,
Molly, last year?
yes, we were. We were, exercising, social distancing guidelines,
Yeah.
and masks were required.
Yeah.
And I have all kinds of PPE with me, gloves, sanitizers, whatever anyone would need.
Yeah.
So,
With
so
some
yeah,
precautions, it can work. But have you? I was asking Molly. Molly, were you there last year?
Yeah.
At the protest?
I went to a protest. There was one where I think Brando. There was a car that came out. It got a lot of.
Yes, that was for Bucknell,
I don't
I
know.
think.
Yeah, and I watched that one a couple times. I felt like no, I was not there for that one, but I did go down for a couple of those protests. I've been doing it about 2 or 3 years myself. This is the first year I really haven't been able to make any because of my job.
Yeah, no, she adopted 2 dogs from Safe Korean Dogs and another one from HSI. So you have three survivors at home
Yeah.
with you. And what about you,
Yeah.
Brando? Have you ever considered adopting one of these survivors, or your?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even I also do work trapping feral cats. Unfortunately, the place where I live does not allow pets. So,
Ah, yes, it's often the case. Some apartment buildings you don't have the right to have pets or condos.
right. And so, I mean, we still do the work we do, and I, help foster and find them homes and find them sanctuaries and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So,
still doing everything I can. But if I could have pets, yeah, you'd see me here with 9 dogs rescued from Yulin and six feral cats that I rescued off the street. So,
I don't doubt it one bit. And for me personally, I just found out about the dog cat me trade later than you guys. I heard about it in late 2017. But as
right,
I found out, I have my heart set on adopting one of these survivors. But it's often the case you have to be responsible and you have to think, okay, well, your partner, my husband, has to be on board, of course.
sure,
And also
absolutely.
the lifestyle. That was often the problem because I work all day, my husband too. And, if you're bringing home a survivor that's been traumatized like that, you need to be home. You need to have someone home at all times and at least at
Yeah,
the beginning,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Yeah, it is
I'm
really
determined
hard.
to make it work, So I think it's a question. You take a sabbatical, you make it work, like it's possible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about, after COVID, there was a lot of announcements from China. I know we talked about it a little bit last year, but now even more news came out where they probably enacted the first committee in Yulin to crack down on the wildlife trade and the dog cat meat trade. And so,
Right.
as opposed to last year, they cannot slaughter the animals in Yulin. They have to do it outside and then bring in the final product, if you can call it a product.
Right. and I mean, which they were doing that anyway, just
Well, I
excluding,
think in previous years they would actually slaughter the dogs alive in front of people in Yulin markets. I mean, we
right.
all saw the footage, right? We saw dogs being born
Yeah,
alive, and
but they also, as far as to my knowledge, they also had these slaughter, I guess, camps right outside of town where they could bring the animals there to have slaughtered, and they would ship them in for the festival. But no, definitely the majority of the killing was in Yulin, for I don't
for
know,
the festival.
entertainment. Who knows, but I
And
mean, yeah, I mean that's one step in the right direction for sure.
are you encouraged by some of these announcements, like, China's Ministry of Agriculture branding dogs as pets and not for food? And, do you
Yeah.
feel like there's enough progress being made, or?
Baby steps, you got to crawl before you walk. So,
Yeah.
just, we're doing it, one protest at a time. We're doing it, one legislation at a time. And, I think that the world is definitely starting to see that, I remember Yulin was the big thing, it was on everybody's mind like 5-6 years ago when I
Yeah.
got alerted to it. Then it kind of died down, but now people are seeing that, we're not going away. We're not going anywhere until this festival is shut down. So,
Well,
you have so many celebrities that condemn it.
yeah,
So many
exactly.
public officials that condemn it. So we'll get there.
Well,
We'll get
I
there.
was talking to Nadine Di Leo. Maybe you know her. She basically started this movement called Let No Dog Die in Vain. And the whole purpose is to try to ban, obviously, dog meat. And she was saying, it takes all of us. This is a big issue, and it's going to take more than just, activists. Everyone has to get involved, and that includes people that have influence, like politicians, lawyers, people that can actually, make policies and, changes, work with legislators in China.
Right.
Like, obviously, we all want to see China enact animal welfare laws, because there are none at this point. And that is
Yeah.
surprising. It's surprising because China is now the world's second largest economy. Many people, I work in finance, and many people are pegging them to be the super economy of the world within the next decade. And
Right.
so you can't have a country like that, a dominant country like that, with so much power and influence, and no animal welfare laws. I mean,
Yeah.
sense, right?
I mean, Gandhi said it best when he said the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated.
Yes.
It's the same thing. Japan, another superpower that condones the slaughter of dolphins and whales.
Wow.
So. Well, we've got like 15 minutes left here, so I'm going to hand you back to Bob. We're going to finish up our protest here.
Any parting words, Brando, before you let us go? Like, what is the message to people out there that might say that protests like these and signing petitions is not going to do anything? What would you
just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. There's a lot of torture going on out there, in Yulin, in Taiji, Japan. I mean, all across the world, Canadian with the seal slaughter.
Yeah.
Just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. It'll happen. You'll get discouraged at times, but just keep fighting. That's the best advice I can get.
You have to be a voice for the voiceless, and you certainly are doing that. So I applaud you. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to stay on with Molly, and maybe Bob can say a few words if he's still available.
Yeah, Bob's right here. All right.
Hello.
I know, because he was using your phone.
Right.
So, Bob, I want to ask you, because that's something that a lot of people say to me. They're like, "Oh, what good does it do to protest? A country like China is not going to be influenced by these actions. Signing petitions doesn't do anything." What is your opinion on that? What would you say to people that say it's not worth it?
It's hard because I think China doesn't care about anybody but themselves. It's a brutal dictatorship who tortures and kills its own people and animals, so they rule by fear and death. And I think they encourage this kind of thing that the Chinese government does. I would think at some point, like Brando said, everything we do and say and every action we take, every time we sign a petition, rules like it's not making start. So we have to, every day, run or go to a protest or, just educating people, I think is the thing. When we walked down to the street, we had a couple people honk their horns because they saw the signs and they knew what we were doing and talking about. So it's just a matter of continuing to get that word out. Even though people don't listen. I know, like, on my Facebook posts, I usually get a bunch of people who are, who respond or like or whatever. But when I post about the dog meat trade, it's much fewer people who, look at it, acknowledge it, because it's so hard to take. But I would just say, and now it's hard to hear because we're talking again, but I would say just keep doing something every day, and just educate yourself.
Absolutely, and it's raising awareness. If nothing else, it raises awareness and it shows people that there is an issue, and a lot of people still are largely ignorant on this issue. So, I mean, I think protests like this can make people more aware of the problem, and sometimes sharing a post can make a difference. So we can't discount any of these actions. We can't get discouraged because these animals depend on us, right? I think you would agree with that, Molly.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I don't know if Molly, can you still hear us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'm here.
We're going to cap it off, but I would just like to say that, to people that say this is not worth the time and effort, I would say it is because it's raising awareness, and I think we can all agree that, that's a super important part of it. The more people learn about this issue, the more people can get involved, and no matter how you get involved, you need to do something because this is an atrocity. And, we need to put an end to it. So, So thank you. I mean, do you have anything else you want to add, Molly?
Yeah, I would say there was a local radio station recently that they were requesting pens, right, from company. They were like, our radio station has no pens. It's in DC. They wanted businesses to send them pens, and they would give a shout out. So of course, I go ahead, I check with No Dogs Left Behind, I get the right colors. I had them make 250 pens. I sent 100 to the radio station, and I sent them a picture of my dog. And I told, and I tried to make it not I didn't use graphic language. I just said, hey, leading up to Yulin, could you give a shout out a couple times about No Dogs Left Behind? Now, I didn't hear anything back from them. If they did a one-time shout out, I didn't hear it. But, now I've got these pens. I've got 150 pens, and I'm going to hand them out to other people. So I don't think, I just try one way. If it doesn't work, I try another way. But the guilt that comes over me if I do nothing, and like you said, the atrocity that it is, I have to continue to act.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, once you know this issue, you can't unknow it, and it's hard to move on and pretend that it's not happening. And I would feel guilty like you. I would feel, well, first of all, I don't think I could do nothing, you have to get involved, and you feel compelled to do anything and whatever try to put an end to this. And, it's going to take time. Obviously, especially a country like China doesn't move very quickly in terms of policy changes. We were very encouraged to see Shenzhen and Zhuhai, two large cities. These are cosmopolitan cities, enact a ban on the dog cat meat trade, and that happened last year in May of 2020. and another city soon followed. So if it can have a domino effect, and people, we have to applaud these changes so that people are encouraged to, keep the wave going, and they'll see that they have international recognition, and the whole world needs to applaud those kind of actions, right? So change, it happens sometimes one step at a time, but we can't discount it. Every step along the way is the right step, and I think we can be encouraged a little bit by that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, Bob. Thank you so much, and you guys are amazing. And maybe we'll catch you at the next protest, because there are gonna be some more coming up for Boknal, which is probably more applicable than ever, because you have some Korean dogs that were rescued, and Bob as well. So thank you guys. Much love to you. We gotta hang in together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
Thank you.
Bob, for taking time to share your thoughts with us. And thank you, Molly and Brando. We applaud you, all of you.
Thanks for everything you do.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye.
Bye.